Most people love it when like my dog barks and stuff. Like,
And with that said, good morning, everyone. Jed, good morning, Jim. I know it's over at 6 a.m. over in Phoenix as well, too. We just did our 12-person draft yesterday, and we're going to spend some time talking about that, as well as everyone is probably finalizing all of their draft. 4 of them are down for me. I have another 4, so good morning, everyone.
whoa, you're playing 8 this year?
8 leagues, yes.
Oh my goodness, I've got 5, and I thought that was a lot. 8,
Yeah.
wow. You're gonna be totally lost. You're not gonna when you're watching games. You're not gonna know who to cheer for.
Or more so, I think a lot of times there's about 4 teams I'm watching, and the other 4, whatever. And then but I do enjoy drafting a lot. I enjoy the opportunity to draft.
I would say that drafting is always the best part of fantasy.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the fun. Well, what are all your drafts, Tommy? Are they snake? Are they auction? I last night's draft was a snake draft for you guys out there at 12 team, and I swear that's my last snake draft. I can't stand those.
Mostly out of 6 of them are snake drafts.
Ugh.
I keep trying to convince all the other teams. Some of them, oh, it's too hard. It's not that hard. It's not that complicated because they're so used to snake drafts.
Yeah, I don't understand why people are so hesitant. I mean, to me, it's just much more. Well, I guess the one thing I will say about the snake draft in its defense is it is realistic, right? Because you are drafting
Yeah.
just like they draft. But I don't know. I just do not like how much is just left up to chance when it comes to it. You know, like the 12 team draft, you guys got 11 and 12. That totally changes your strategy.
Yeah, it went by fast yesterday because we only had 30 seconds between each pick, and the first couple picks went by pretty fast. But as you're going towards the end, it does go fast because you're trying to figure out which players you're trying to get.
Yeah, I think 12-person draft. We had I think at least 10 positions. We finished in like 45 minutes, so it was quick.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was at
was-
someone's dinner, so I was at a restaurant trying to do the draft.
Nice.
Yeah, Jed, seriously, when I saw I had the 12th pick on the 12-man draft, I'm sitting there, oh my gosh, who am I? I'm going to get stuck. And which, in some sense, we're going to talk about. I like DeAndre Swift. He's exactly not my favorite person. And so, in some sense, I was sitting there, do I go with that? Do I go with Devontae Adams? And so, a lot of times, I went with the running back into Swift.
No, I see. That's what I was saying. I actually think you guys did fine. Like the combo pairs at 11 and 12, I think are fine. I mean, Tommy, you had CD Lamb and DeAndre Swift. That's a great 1-2 punch to start. And Jimmy, you had Najee Harris and Joe Mixon, also solid. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Was I think draft position is really important. So I had the number 4 pick, and most people are saying, "Oh, at 4, take a Justin Jefferson." You know, or Cooper Kupp, like a wide receiver at 4.
Yeah.
But honestly, I was looking at it. I did so many mocks. If you take a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase at 4, 5, or 6, when you come back around, you're basically looking at like a Leonard Fournette as your running back, or maybe
Aaron Jones.
Yeah, or if you're lucky, if Aaron Jones falls. But it's just such a drop off in the running back position that especially in a 12-team league, that's why I picked Dalvin Cook, because I was like, I have to take a running back there.
Yeah, I was hoping that the quarterbacks wouldn't go as fast, because you know how much I love my Josh Allen. But by the time it came around, they were already gone.
Oh, I think did he go in the 3rd round? He went really early.
Yeah, he went really fast because I was looking and he went. So it's been what I've noticed is the first one is Josh Allen, second one has been Justin Herbert, and the third one is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Josh Allen went in the late 2nd round, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But and then the interesting one is Joe Burrow went.
Yeah,
late
Joe Burrow
3rd
went
round.
pretty high.
He went really early,
Yeah.
which let you get Kyle Pitts. You shouldn't have gotten Kyle Pitts, but that guy took Joe Burrow.
Jed,
instead.
I was so surprised because it came around me and was sitting there targeting Kyle Pitts, and I was hoping no one would pick him. And when it was still available for me, I scooped him up, and that was a lot. That was lucky.
Yeah, and right after he did, then I scooped up Mark Andrews, because you suddenly saw Kyle Pitts and Mark Andrews sitting there.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a quick question, Jed. Let me ask you, has there been a player, and I'll give you an example, that's been, sometimes we have an anticipated ADP of where that person is, and suddenly now they've been going higher. For me, that has been Cortland Sutton. So suddenly, a lot of times people are trying to figure out Jared Judy, Cortland Sutton, all that stuff. But at the same time, with Russell Wilson there, he may throw the long ball pretty well. And so as a result, Sutton is going to be the main beneficiary. So I've been trying to think that he's going to be in the 6th, 7th round. But man, I was in the draft and he was picked up in the 4th round.
Yeah. Well, he was picked up in, exactly, 4th round in this draft. I mean, no, I don't think that's a bad move at all because remember, they lost Tim Patrick, so that's a big deal. I mean, it's basically Cortland Sutton and Jerry Judy. Jerry Judy needs to step up from last year to take any of this, but there's plenty of balls to go around. And exactly, I think Russell Wilson is an upgrade at quarterback. So I think that's fine. I thought that was a great pick by you in the 4th round. The other person I would say along with that is Mike Williams. I've seen Mike Williams of the Chargers really starting to get a lot of play. So that's been interesting to see.
I think Chris Godwin has actually gone higher than what people have thought originally, right? I would say a couple of weeks ago when we first started some of these drafts, Chris Godwin wasn't going far at all. It was towards the later rounds because no one really knew when he was going to come back. But I think the newses have been encouraging. So I'm starting to see, I think, Tom, you picked him up pretty fast, pretty early on. I was surprised.
Yeah, because I knew I really wanted Chris Godwin. And at the turnaround, if it doesn't, by the time it gets back to me, he would have been scooped up. So I said, forget it. He's a potential number one wide receiver, Tom Brady. And so a lot of times, let's go ahead and do it.
I mean, that's why I picked DeAndre Hopkins, right? In this 12-person league. There's not that many players left by the time you get around. And so I knew if I wanted a number one receiver, I could wait a little bit, 6 weeks, and hopefully get DeAndre Hopkins back at some point.
Yes, Jed. I was sitting there ready to snag DeAndre Hopkins. And I said, he's going to pick him up. He picks. I said, crud. So I scramble and start looking for another player.
Oh, yeah. No. You guys I knew that you guys would take DeAndre. I wanted Hopkins too. I wasn't looking around. So I was probably looking right after you, round 8. So you guys got him before me. The other guy I wanted was George Pickens. Tommy, you got him. That was a nice late. I think you got him. Around 10. No. I should have took him in round 9, but instead I took James Cooks, thinking that I could trade with Jimmy.
But Jed, you're right. You said this earlier. We all draft the same, and so we're all targeting certain players. Because, like I said, I saw Paul sitting there, right, the running back from Houston, and I knew if it was somebody else behind me, I knew maybe I could potentially wait and grab somebody else, right? But because Tommy was right behind me, I knew in one of those 2 picks he was going to grab him. So I didn't even hesitate. I decided to grab him first.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know this, Dameon Pierce in Houston, they dropped Marlon Mack, which is a big deal. When you see a team drop a running back or a wide receiver at a key position, it tells you the coaching staff has confidence in the remaining players. And so that speaks really well for Dameon Pierce. So I thought that was a great pickup.
But he's been going high recently. I've been trying to pick him up, but he's been going high.
Yeah, but he hasn't been committed to him yet. I think he's been coy, but I think he'll be the starting running back.
Lovie Smith doesn't always commit to a lot. Lovie Smith, at least from his time at the Bears, even with the Rex Grossman, a lot of times has always been non-committal about exactly what his true motives are.
Okay, so can I ask a quick question that's not associated with the draft really fast? Did you guys watch the Bears game this past week?
No, I missed it.
3 touchdowns. Fields did really well. Does that change how you view the potential of a Justin Fields?
Fantasy-wise?
Fantasy-wise, yes.
I mean, I think he's fine to pick up as a backup. In fact, I didn't get a backup quarterback. That was one thing I drafted Dak Prescott, and I wanted Tom Brady, but then Tommy, you took him. And then, so I didn't get a backup. I think he would be fine. So for example, he's someone, I don't think he got drafted in our league. So he's someone I could pick up.
But the argument is a lot of times the third preseason game is pretty much a lot of times a preseason game where none of your starters are playing. So in some sense, Justin Fields is succeeding what he should be doing, backup players, and people are on the fringe. So in some sense, you want to see at least a couple of games to see how he does.
I am pleased with the coaching staff, right? Because I felt like last year the coaching staff, all they did was the same plays over and over again. And so I think at least this year with Fields, they're allowing him to run. They're allowing him to go out into the open field a little bit more and to be able to kind of come up with some of his plays versus just staying with the same plays over and over again.
Yeah. Going back to the draft, Jed, going to the James Cook conversation. It was going to rise. I want George Pickens. I knew you liked George Pickens. And then when you picked James Cook, I said, wow, he picked James Cook. All right. It frees me up to pick George Pickens.
Yeah, you know what? I was over focused. I was telling Jimmy this. I was over focused on running backs. And I got Tony Pollard the round before that. So I should have picked up Pickens there and then let Cook go. But I think I got I just got enamored. I mean, I like the potential. You know, I think you're really looking for potential there. So, but I should have picked up Pickens.
I need some receivers.
I saw that you got Rondale Moore at the end there because I dropped off right before I picked up my kicker, and then I left the draft. But I see that was a good pickup. I was looking at him.
Yeah, because I needed a pretty good receiver, and it was between him and Chase Claypool, because Chase Claypool was like the #1 ranked that was left behind, and I was like, Rondale Moore is going to get better options and chances than Claypool.
Yeah, he's supposedly the clear #2 there, so it should be pretty good. Just depends on how, especially with Hopkins out. I think that's a good sign for him.
I've been really focused on how do you say his name? Romeo Doubs. Is it Romeo Doubs out of Green Bay? The wide receiver.
I'm not sure how the rookie. Yeah. I don't know how. I'm not sure.
No, I've been really focused on him. He's been my person who I'm kind of taking a chance on, hoping that he'll eventually become like every single one of those guys, Devontae Adams, Sterling Sharp, everyone started as a #3 wide receiver. So I'm hoping Dobbs will be that person.
Yeah, the Green Bay offense.
Aaron Rodgers came out this week and says that Dobbs is not your ordinary rookie, and he's going to get a lot more chances than your regular rookie as well, too. So you don't see Aaron Rodgers saying that. I mean, we thought Christian Watson was going to be the rookie that excelled, but at the same time, it looks like Dobbs is the guy who has succeeded Watson and has been doing really well in camp. Sorry about that, John.
No. I was just going to say Green Bay is, I think, one of the interesting questions is like, what is their offense going to look like, without Devontae Adams? And now I'm seeing actually you drafted Aaron Rodgers, not Tom Brady. That was the guy. And you got him really late. You got him in it's round 7. Wasn't too bad. But that's, I think, the big question is who's he going to throw to? I think everyone knows Rodgers has the talent. He'll find whoever is open. But the question is, who is that going to be? And is it going to be a situation where like there's every week there's a different leading receiver, or is it the old days where it was always Devontae Adams? So we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
And more so, I think a lot of times were they willing to get rid of Devontae Adams because they have such high confidence in Lazard, and who actually has been like a third wide receiver and all that stuff. And so hopefully maybe he'll take the next step this year.
Oh, I disagree with that. I don't think that they let him go because they have confidence in the next. I don't think they let him go. I think he kind of forced his way out, basically. So I think I don't know. Lazard is interesting. I've had him on my team several times, always waiting for him. Is he in his 3rd year? Is this his 3rd year?
I think this is like 3rd or 4th year.
Yeah, because usually 3rd year is when you see a nice little kind of bump in wide receivers. For some reason, it takes them a couple years to figure things out. A lot of wide receivers have their breakout year, their 3rd year.
Yeah. Speaking of Green Bay, a lot of times, Robert Tonyan, have you guys even been excited about him or even identified him as someone?
I don't think anybody's been picking him up in anything.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone. I mean, there's so many pretty good tight ends, really. Yeah. Like even like a Dawson Knox has been going 10, 11th, 12th tight end off the board, and that's pretty good. TJ Hawkinson.
Cole Kmet from the Bears, I think will be decent this year.
It seems like people have been high, especially with the tight ends. Once you move past the Kyle Pitts and you move past the Travis Kelce, people seem to like Cole Kmet a lot.
Yeah,
he was up there. You're right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our conversation next week after our auction league to see who we're going to end up spending all of our money on.
Yeah, the tricky thing with that is different. So you're right. We would all draft the same players, but the difference is since this is a keeper league, we all are coming in with different holds.
Oh,
so that's what changes kind of the calculus. But I love the setup of our league. I think our league is the best setup: keeper league and auction draft. I think that's just the way to go.
Yeah.
Jim, I know a lot of times you love a CD Lamb. 2 questions as well, too. How much do you like a Michael Gallup? He seems to be slightly ignored. He actually was not placed on the PUP list, so he could be playing in week 2. There's a good chance he'll probably miss week 1. And with CD Lamb, I think a lot of times I've been watching Dak Prescott has actually been picking as one of the later quarterbacks. And is there even a chance that CeeDee Lamb might not perform the way you expect him to perform this year?
Maybe, right? Because I remember last year I picked him up in all my leagues. And so I was going for, he was usually my second wide receiver that I was picking up. And what I found is with CeeDee Lamb, he's not always the most consistent receiver. Now, last year he had Amari Cooper on him, but he's usually a pretty good, big play threat. Now the question is whether or not he's going to be able to be consistent in getting some of those chunks of yards and also scoring some of those touchdowns, right? I can see them once they get to the red zone. It's usually Elliott or a Pollard or a Schultz. And so I think that's one of the things I was reading about that people are hesitant about CeeDee Lamb is he might get the yardage, but is he going to get the touchdowns or is he going to lose out to the Schultz, Pollards, and Elliott's of the world? And even Prescott. Prescott can run that thing in as well too. I don't know if you've seen, but the Cowboys have been criticized because they've averaged close to 10 penalties each game during the preseason. So I think that's something that they've been kind of working on, but that's been something concerning people said.
Yeah, I think the issue, I mean, I have Prescott, and I think what people are worried about is what's the running game going to look like? Because, and then with the loss of Amari Cooper, like I think, I don't think anyone questions Prescott's skill. It's really just around him. What's the situation? Because the running game has given him such good coverage. That's what's really led to, a lot of the wide receivers being open. But I'm high on CeeDee Lamb. I think his talent is really through the roof. Like I think this guy, regardless of whatever coverage they throw at him, he's going to be open. So, and I think Prescott will find him. So I still like him.
Jet, let me ask you a quick question: is Lamar Jackson? Is there a perception that people don't like Lamar Jackson as a quarterback?
That's a good question. If they have that perception, I think that's a mistake, at least from fantasy. I'm trying to see like where he went. Did he go first? Was he the first quarterback? Oh no,
he's usually going in the top 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah. It was Josh Allen and then Justin Herbert. You're right. In our league, in this yesterday, he didn't go until round 4. But no, I think that's a mistake because Lamar Jackson to me is as rock solid a top 5 pretty much as you can get. Like I have zero worry that he's going to be in the top 5 because of the running aspect. Remember, he's always going to supplement his passing game with running. Even though you say, okay, well, who's he going to throw to? He's still got Mark Andrews out there. So I still think there's a lot for him.
If I had to choose between Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, I think I decided to go for the safer bet. I feel like the ceiling for Lamar Jackson is higher, but the stability in terms of the points for Jalen Hurts is more consistent than a Lamar Jackson.
See, I think it's the other way around. I think Jalen Hurts, you don't know what the ceiling is. Like this year, especially, he's got AJ Brown there. We just don't know. Like it could go through the roof. Like he could suddenly be top 3. So I think you're kind of playing for more potential there. But Hurts is a great pick, but where did he go? I'm trying to see. It looks like he went pretty late.
I was surprised, Tom. I think you got Miles Sanders, right, in the league. I've been trying to stay away from a Miles Sanders just because you can't trust him. I think that's the other issue with the Philadelphia. You got potentially Gainwell who showed some flashes, but I'm not trusting Miles Sanders this year.
But at the same time, here's the thing that a lot of times is, so suddenly now I get CeeDee Lamb, then I get Cortland Sutton. Suddenly now I see Mark Andrews by the time I'm 11th, 12th, right? And I see Mark Andrews and I pick up Gabe Davis. By the time it loops around, all your running backs are gone. And now you're stuck with Miles Sanders. You're sitting there, oh my gosh, I don't want Miles Sanders. But he's probably your best backup running back.
So for that Mark Andrews, Gabe Davis round, right? Do you wish that you got? I mean, I know what you were really going for the running back from Houston. That's who you were targeting, right? But do you wish you picked a running back on that end?
Man, when you saw Mark Andrews sitting there, a very high tight end, a lot of red zone targets, you can't turn away from that. Then you're looking at the potential Gabe Davis and said, wow. So you're sitting there, forget it. Let's just take a chance to see how it goes.
Yeah. I was surprised you did it only because you already have 2 receivers. And you got DeAndre Swift, but I was waiting for you to pick up that second running back because I felt like you needed it.
Yeah, that messed me up too, actually, Tommy. If you had taken a second running back, then one of those wide receivers would have dropped down to me. So that's why I had to take George Kittle. I took George Kittle in the 6th round, even after so now I've got 2 tight ends.
But at the same time, one of my thoughts was, because I love trading. So eventually am I in love with any of the remaining running backs? No. Gabe Davis, do people like him? Yes. So as a result, let's just snag him and eventually just trade him for someone else. Or at the same time, I know that Jed loves Mark Andrews. At the end of the day, trade partners. Jed loves Mark Andrews. Jimmy loves Gabe Davis. And eventually I'm going to put them in a package and trade with them because they're probably the best trade partner. So let's just go ahead and do it.
I like Mark Andrews.
Jed, you got Pollard, Cook, and Madison, right? Like all 3 of them has the potential by the end of the season being a starting running back for their team.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping, is that one of them hits. And so that was the thing. So since I picked Dalvin Cook first, what I came out with for wide receiver, if you look at wide receiver, Tyreek Hill and AJ Brown, which to me they're both on new teams, and you're just hoping that one of them really is a pure number 1 and then the other one's a number 2. So to me, that's the game. When you draft, you have like 2 or 3 at the same position. You're not expecting all of them to hit. You just want one to hit, and then you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Hey, what's been both of your quarterback strategies? Have you been going in and say, I'm going to pick a really good one in the early rounds, or have you been very content with waiting?
Well, Jimmy got Jalen Hurts in round 4, so
I was targeting Josh Allen. There was a possibility, but then I was like, no, that's too out of the box. I almost thought about second pick being Josh Allen because I figured Josh Allen might be gone by then. Because I think the way I looked at it was the 12-team league. Josh Allen always provides some good consistent points. But once it came back and Allen was gone and then Herbert was gone, I was like, I'll wait a little bit. So that's why and Kyle Pitts was sitting in front of me. I could not pass up a Kyle Pitts.
Man, actually, you screwed me, Jimmy, now that I see, because you have both Jalen Hurts and Russell Wilson. That's what messed me up, because I wanted Russell Wilson to drop, and I wasn't expecting people to take 2 quarterbacks. So you messed me up. But I got Dak Prescott. But I didn't take my Dak Prescott till round 7. So Tommy, back to your original question, I'm a big fan of waiting. You see, I waited to round 7. I still got Prescott, who I think could be top 10. Round 8, you still had Tom Brady. Round 9, you had Matthew Stafford. So yeah, you're definitely on the edge of like 10, 11, 12. But boy, that gives you the freedom up front to get another, solid skill position player.
Yeah.
One of the screens I do look at is positions drafted. And so I know in the 10-team league, there's 10 good quarterbacks. Your last remaining is always Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers, the 3 white guys. And then suddenly now when you're hovering about 7 positions drafted, all right, I better go get a quarterback. Now, I got a little worried on this draft because it's 12. And so in some sense, it's slim pickings after those top quarterbacks. So I had to start reaching and end up getting Aaron Rodgers as well, too. It came down to Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, and then from that point on,
I think Russell Wilson was still out there.
No, you already picked up Russell
Wilson.
No,
that's why Jimmy messed us up, Tommy. Yes. That's what I'm saying, because he took 2. So we were expecting everyone to take 1, but he took 2, so it messed us up.
I was sitting there. I was sitting there, which team got 2 quarterbacks so early? What in the world is this?
Well, because I was surprised Russell Wilson was there. And I was like, I think he's going to have a pretty decent season. And so I was like, I'll just pick him just for trade leverage at some point.
Yeah, that was the round that messed me up. If you look at it, round 6, Jimmy got Russell Wilson, and that threw me off. And that's when I picked George Kittle. So that screwed me up. I shouldn't have picked Kittle. That was a mistake.
No.
Yeah.
But he might pay out.
Let me give you guys this trade scenario. All right. So already I got 1 trade offer. So somebody is offering me a big trade pretty much. And I'd love to get your thoughts. They're offering me Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, Mark Andrews, those 3 for Derrick Henry, Kyle Pitts.
No way.
For Derrick Henry, Kyle Pitts.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of Deebo Samuel. Remember, in his contract, he specifically is protecting himself against running. So the odds of him having the year he had last year are very, very low. This guy does not want the rushing carries that he got last year, and that's what shot him up. So I'm not a fan of Debo. Was the other one DK Metcalf, you said?
Yeah, DK Metcalf.
I love DK Metcalf, hate his quarterback. If you guys notice, DK Metcalf was decently high. Tyler Lockett was really low. Like he dropped all the way
Tyler Lockett has not been being drafted.
And it's because of the quarterback play. They're like, who's going to throw him the ball? So I don't like DK Metcalf. I don't like Deebo Samuel. And who was the third guy?
The third guy is Mark Andrews.
Yeah, so Mark Andrews is the best player in that bunch. But boy, you're giving up Derrick Henry. I mean, stud. Yeah. And then Kyle Pitts, stud. So I wouldn't do that. It's basically, you could say Kyle Pitts and Mark Andrews are equal. So it's basically Derrick Henry for those two wide receivers. So I guess it depends on your running back situation. If you feel like you're loaded there, then maybe it works.
Hey, I am one to trade one superstar for multiple players. So I love those trades as well too. But Derrick Henry was on pace to have one of his best seasons, and then he got injured. I still have high hopes for Derrick Henry.
Yeah, the issue with Henry is you feel like the passing game, like it was good enough that it stopped defenses from loading the box against him. But without AJ Brown there, our defense is going to just load the box and tempt, the Titans to throw. And so that's my only concern. But you guys know I love Henry. If I can get Henry, I'm always all over him.
I mean, they've got, three receivers. They got Robert Woods, they got Kenny Phillips, and they got Treylon Burke, right? My guess is that first couple games, Robert Woods is going to be their leading receiver. I'm thinking the other two receivers, one of the two, is going to have to emerge to become the top receiver if they're going to do pretty well.
Yeah. Sleepers. Let me talk a little bit because a lot of times everyone's in their draft and we can sit there and talk about all the well-known players, but it's the key guys toward the later rounds that a lot of people are looking at. Jim, let me ask you a quick question. We talked about Cole Kmet as one of your last tight ends. What do you think of Irv Smith Jr.? Last year, he suffered torn meniscus in his right knee that required surgery in late August, and as a result, did not play the entire season. Kyle Rudolph and Tyler Conklin are gone. And so in some sense, the only one sitting there is a Johnny Munt, who is a career blocker, and 7th round Nick Moose. What do you think of Irv Smith?
I actually like Irv Smith. I'm not picking Irv Smith up, because I think like Jed said earlier, when you look at some of the later rounds, there were some pretty decent second, third tier running tight ends that were still there, right? Dawson Knox was going later rounds. Cole Kmet was going a little further up just because I think some people like him. So I don't know. I mean, I think Irv Smith is somebody for me to watch in the waiver wire, but I'm not picking him up in drafts right now.
Yeah, to me, like sleepers in tight end land is pretty, I don't know. You don't want to push too far down because tight ends, again, it's a pretty rare situation that I have now with Darren Waller and George Kittles, but it's pretty rare that you're going to play two tight ends. So I think as far as sleepers, you don't need to push too far. I think Irv Smith is a little bit too far.
Yeah.
Jed, another sleeper. Oh, go ahead.
Speaking of tight ends, did you guys hear the rumors that were going on in Miami? Gesicki's on the trade market.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Really? That's interesting. Miami's another team that I don't know what to expect out of them, right? Like, are they going to be really good? Or are they going to build off of last year?
It's all based off Tua, right? Because they've surrounded him so much. I think you'll find out pretty soon, is he going to be good? Because if he's good, they'll be fine. But everything hinges on Tua. Yeah,
the one clip I saw, he threw a 51-yard pass to Tyreek Hill, and everyone was excited. But I wasn't, because he underthrew him. Like, Hill had to adjust and come back. And if he had have been able to throw it out there, Hill would have been gone. And so that is the worry for me, is he doesn't have the arm strength to really get it out ahead of Tyreek Hill.
But that makes me excited about Jalen Waddle, because a lot of times people will be covering Hill to the point of frees up Jalen Waddle, because a lot of times as a second-year player, he didn't have that coverage, that guy on the opposite side that got so much demand for coverage last year.
Yeah, exactly. Waddle should have he'll be playing against that number 2 cover. He should have plenty of guys to beat and roast. We'll see.
Speaking
of one thing, Jim, it actually leads me on the right thing is Sony Michel got cut.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert. Does that make you like Raheem Mostert a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, anytime a team drops a player, you have to, especially at the running back position, it tells you they have greater confidence. So I do like a Raheem Mostert more. But again, the issue is that Miami, like, are they going to score? Like, that's what I just don't know. Like, I'm not sure what to expect out of this team. And so anytime for me, a big part of running backs is how much point production you can expect out of the teams because you need those touchdowns. And so that is a concern for me. But I don't know. I think it's a good thing for Mostert for sure.
I was going to say, speaking of Miami, oh, by the way, Sony Michel is expected to sign with the Chargers. Did you guys see that?
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, they need a backup you know what? Actually, that's a pretty good smart move because Eckler's a pretty small running back. And I can see Michelle. But I was going to say, are you guys even targeting Chase Edmonds at all for Miami? Because I have not even been looking at him.
No, yeah, I haven't. Actually, even Eckler, we could talk about Eckler. I like him, but boy, just his size, and I'm just worried about, is he really going to be? I mean, he's been going, what, 2, 3?
Number
He's pretty
2.
high. He's been going high.
Yeah. And so actually him and McCaffrey for sure. I have skipped McCaffrey in every single chance I had to draft him. I've skipped him. But Eckler is very interesting to me. This could be his year.
Hey, but let me ask you a quick question, Jed. If you did have the second pick, would you pick up McCaffrey or would you have gone to Eckler?
No. That's what I'm saying. I'm avoiding McCaffrey like the plague. There's no way. 2 years straight. Actually, is it 2 years or 3 years straight? This guy did not even finish, more than half the season. Like, there's no way. And so for me, Austin Eckler, 2, I probably would have to pick, because 2 would be pretty high to pick Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So I think Eckler has to be the guy.
I would consider Derrick Henry. I'm also the crazy one who would consider a Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, or Jamar Chase type of guy.
I told you, if you do that though, man, you get screwed on the back end. Yeah. I don't know. That's my opinion.
But with that said, let's say, for instance, you did have the third and fourth pick, right? So suddenly Eckler goes 1, Taylor goes Taylor goes 1, Eckler goes 2. Yep. Suddenly you're sitting there, oh, I don't want Christian McCaffrey. I thought he was going to be drafted 2, and he gets injured. I'd be tempted to bypass him and let the fourth guy go deal with him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly. Yeah, in our league, Christian McCaffrey went 3rd, but if he had have dropped, I would not have taken him. I was either taking, at the number 4 spot, I was either taking Cook or Henry, not McCaffrey. Yeah.
The only thing about McCaffrey is Matt Rule did say that they have to reconsider how they use McCaffrey so they can protect him better. So I'm hoping that they're not going to just throw him out there like they've done the last few years, but they're actually going to do a good job about protecting him.
Yeah. But the one thing I can't stand about injury-prone players, suddenly now they're doing really well. They protect them, all of that. 6th week comes in, they get injured, and they're now out the next 4 or 5 weeks. And then they come in right at the beginning of playoff time, but they're rusty. I hate those situations.
Yeah, no, I'm avoiding those guys like the plague.
That's why, Jed, you're smart picking up Madison, right? Because in all the seasons Dalvin Cook has played, he's never played all 16 games. So whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4 games, Madison's going to be the starting running back in one of those games.
Yeah, exactly. I call those handcuffs. Basically, if you have a running back from the top 5 positions, you really top 5 draft picks, you got to get the backup. For example, if you got Jonathan Taylor, I'm just looking to see, did this guy who drafted Jonathan Taylor, did he get Nyheim Hines? Because you got to have the backup, because basically if your guy goes down, you can expect the backup to step in and not get the same production, but at least get you 80% of what they got. And so it's like an insurance policy.
Hey, as we wrap up as well too, I want to get your thoughts on rookie wide receivers. Jim, I'll start with you first as well too. Talk to me about who you like. Let me give you a couple names. Drake London from Atlanta, Treylon Burks from Tennessee, Chris Olave from New Orleans, Sky Moore from Kansas City. The other ones is Garrett Wilson and Jahan Dotson. I'm not crazy about that, but out of Drake London, Treylon Burks, Olave, and Sky Moore, which one do you like?
I would think out of that lot might be Drake London. The only thing is he hasn't been playing because he got injured during the preseason. So the question is he not playing because the coach is trying to be safe with him, or is he not playing because he still has that injury that he's going through? The coach said that it's not serious. I think it's a hamstring injury or something like that too. Traylon Burke actually was somebody who I was really targeting and looking at. They just haven't. They said that he's been slower to develop. Kenny Phillips, actually the second receiver that was drafted, has actually performed better than Traylon Burks out there. So those are the two, I would say, out of the group you mentioned, those are the two ones I've looked at.
Yeah. Jed, what do you think?
No, you get really deep into the well there, man. So I haven't been following any of those guys really. Yeah, the guys we already talked about are the ones that I've been looking at. George Pickens mainly is the guy I've been focused on, and then Dobbs or Dubs or whatever out of Green Bay. But no, that sounds good.
The only reason I make an argument for some of those guys is we're looking into it. Drake London is probably going to be your number one wide receiver option in Atlanta. Now, at the end of the day, you have Marcus Mariota, but he's been decently well. So you have Kyle Pitts as definitely your number one receiver. And then in terms of wide receivers, it's Drake London. Chris Olave, no one knows what's going to happen with Michael Thomas, all right? And so the next one up is Chris Olave out of Ohio State, who did very well for Ohio State. And so coming from a good program, can't depend on Michael Thomas. There you have Olave. Sky Moore is the interesting thing. Just because they did sign all of these wide receivers, got rid of Tyreek Hill, drafted Sky Moore, and so suddenly now, never know what happens with Patrick Mahomes. JJ Smith, is he going to be okay? Is Scantling going to be okay? Because they didn't really do well in their prospective team. That's why they ended up in Kansas City. And so now you have a potential in Sky Moore, your second round draft pick, in the this past year's draft.
Yeah, I like Juju Smith-Schuster actually out of Kansas City. So I would say that's not the one. But I like the argument you made for New Orleans, because I do think Mike Thomas, given the injury history, given his age, I don't think he's going to be the number one. So I think that's a good bet. And then Drake London, I like Marcus Mariota, and I think Atlanta, the offensive scheme is still in place. So I do think you're going to get a lot of passing. So that's also another good option.
Tom, the rookie receiver that I've been looking at from a waiver standpoint that no one has drafted, Jameson Williams, the rookie receiver from Detroit. He's not supposed to play until midseason because he had an ACL injury when he was in college during a national game. But they said this guy is really good, so I've been watching him.
Look, at the same time, I didn't want to mention his name, but we're going into our keeper draft, and if you have a couple of dollars sitting there, I'm putting it in my IR.
Yeah, there's certain plays. I mean, I'm really looking for our keeper auction league, because that's where the really smart drafters are going after certain players.
Yeah, you got to look long term. I mean, look at your wife, Tommy, with Jamar Chase, drafting him last year, that now she's set at that position for a long time.
Oh, she's set with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson as your two starting wide receivers. Yeah. She doesn't have to worry about any of the wide receiver positions, at least for a foreseeable future.
Yeah, but she's got to work on the running back side, which I know she's got Travis Etienne, and he's an interesting running back. That's the one guy that I'm, again, curious. Jacksonville's the other. Miami and Jacksonville, the Florida teams, you just don't know what you're going to get. And so I'm just curious what's going to happen with him. I've got him as my number 2, though, so we'll see what happens.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, look, I mean, as we wrap up here, fantasy sports, the Bears are not going to be good. Here in Chicago, the Cubs are terrible. The White Sox were a game and a half away from first place, completely lost the series to the Kansas City Royals. The Bulls are okay. So in some sense, fantasy sports is the one thing that we have to look forward to.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw, Vegas had the Bears at, I think, 4 and like only 4 wins. So it's pretty bad. I was like, man, that hurts.
Yeah. But at the same time, I was watching NFL Live. They said, as bad as the Bears are, their effort has been very, very good. They've really played hard as a team. They're not there yet, but it shows that they really believe in the coach, and they really play hard for the coach. There's a lot of effort in the team.
Yeah, I don't want to be known as having a team that just gives a lot of good effort, man. That's not.
By the way,
enough.
Tom, in our friends league, I just picked up Jameson Williams as I'm sitting there, because I was like, you know what, he's going to go straight to IR. I'll just dump them there. You know,
Yeah,
why we sit there
yeah.
and let them? Yeah, that's the other
Smart.
thing too. If you find a good player who's got the potential to help you towards the back end of the season, I mean, yes, you're using up an IR spot, but I'm okay with that.
That's
Yeah,
the
I know-
problem with Hopkins, right? Because you can't use the IR spot on him, right?
Yeah.
And Jim, I actually have Darius Leonard or Shaq Leonard sitting in my IR. So as a result, I
Oh.
couldn't pick anyone up as well too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any lasting thoughts as we wrap up here? Jim, any lasting thoughts?
I was just going to say, in our keeper league, the fun thing is we also have IDP. We have individual defensive players. So we'll see who pops up in our league this year.
Oh, okay. One thought to that. Okay, because our friend, we did our draft with another group of friends, right? I don't know, Tom, if you thought about this. Like, I think people forgot that we had independent defensive players, right? So everybody was going through all the players, and then at some point, I was like, no one's picking up any defensive players. And from an auction perspective, we only had like $40 left, and so everyone, all of a sudden, there was this big wave of defensive players that were going for like $2 or $3.
Yeah. Now, at the same time, I would say there's not a lot of standout. In the past, you have Patrick Willis. In the past, you have Luke Quickly. But now these days, with Darius Leonard injured, there's not one that stands out. Maybe Fred Warner as well, too. So we'll see what happens.
I think
By
your
the way-
top three: Fred Warner, Roquan Smith, and is Shaq Leonard.
Speaking in IDP, and I'm not sure if this name you recognize, John Bostic. Remember him? Just got
Yeah.
New
yeah.
Orleans Saints.
Oh, interesting. I have his autograph.
Old, isn't he?
Yeah, he's old. He was supposed to be the middle linebacker before. I mean, who was supposed to be replace Brian Urlacher?
Yeah. I got his autograph at one training camp once. I remember, or my son did.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Hey, we're gonna be back on Friday, and so I know I have a draft on Thursday, and then our keeper draft is sometime this weekend. I think it's Sunday night.
Oh yeah, right before Labor Day. Mhm.
Yeah, good
You know
luck.
what? I enjoy these drafts.
Yeah, me too. I always warn my wife every year. Okay, it's draft season, so for the next week or 2 weeks, I'm going to be doing a lot of late night stuff.
Yeah.
See you later, everyone.